Right, hello everyone. Thank you for staying on. I don't think I've ever faced such a wide-ranging audience for such a long time. Thank you to the club for opening up the Champions Suite after such a long period of inactivity, which is great. My name's David. I'm not a comedian. I'm here to talk to you about enterprise project management solutions. Install, train, and a job done. It is not. This is the bit I've left off the end of the line there. So my name's David. I'm chairman of the company that makes Edison 365. It's a product set that we're demonstrating and showing to people here today. I've been in business helping people implement portfolio, program and project management ecosystems for many years. I've just had a haircut, so all grey hair is not visible today, but there's plenty of it there, trust me. This is automatically scrolling, isn't it? I've been speaking at events like this for many years and doing blogs. Some of you who use the APM's website might have seen me blog on various topics. If you'd bought binoculars, you'd be able to see that. For example, help, I've just implemented governance. Help, I've just implemented tools. What do we do next? All kind of spoofy topics that are interesting to people. I've also more recently presented at other exhibitions on portfolio management and innovation management and many such similarly related topics. So I've got some credentials, is what I'm begging you to believe that I have. So about the topic, so many of you maybe from organisations that have more than one project in your portfolio, may have many things that you want to achieve, and you may be charmed by the idea of pulling all that data together into one system. Please stop scrolling. And you may be persuaded by your IT functions that they can just install the software and everything will be tickety-boo and you'll be delivering effectively for forevermore after that. I'm suggesting that maybe there's more to it than that, and we have to do stuff called upfront thinking and related business change to make this sort of thing happen most effectively. So I'll be talking through themes around this and maybe offer to you a sensible approach to make this stick. So, enterprise project management, project portfolio management, project and program management, portfolio program project management, what does it mean? Well, there's lots of definitions for this. Those of you that don't utterly despise Wikipedia will have found things like this on it. My view is, for example, that portfolio, program and project management, enterprise project management is a term that's used for a way that a business orchestrates itself to deliver projects and programs in a systematic and structured and integrated way. So that's basically what when I see the term EPM, that's what I'm thinking of. There are many components to an EPM, a PPM system, as I'm sure many of you know. One of them is a nice bright orange colour technology piece. We need something to keep our information within. But unless we have capable people, enough of them, unless we have a good connection from the processes and roles that we use to the governance framework our business operates in, unless we're organised and provide support and sustainment to allow that ecosystem continue, our change roof will fall off the other pillows. So it's a PPM system is the technology pillar to an ecosystem that enables us to manage commonly and consistently. So what are EPM, PPM systems used for? Well, they enable us to identify and prioritise work. They enable us to plan and schedule. They enable us to execute project control, which is, I guess, why most of you are here. They allow us to manage change. They allow us to report progress. They allow us to cost and schedule control, all that kind of stuff. Those of you that are familiar with portfolio management principles, in essence, they help us doing the right things and doing those things right. So who might be interested in these sort of things? Well, I guess the customers for these kind of solutions are many and varied, but they're all interested in making the governance framework within our organisation function. So I guess we've got project managers and team members, people actually on the ground delivering projects that need a facility to run their projects and programs with. We've got people that lead and drive these projects and programs, who may be interested in making decisions on the operation of those projects and programs. We've also got another layer, a CX layer, that's helping us decide which direction to go in, to set strategy, to give us the mission, and all that kind of stuff. So to me, a PPM system isn't just about project managers and planners and cost control and people doing tasks and timesheets. It's about managing that scenario and fitting it into the business so all those deliveries fit together. So what challenges do these things address? I see two kinds of organisations that come to me. Those that find scrutiny and oversight impossible. They just don't have the ability to understand what's coming along. They, for example, don't have a list of projects that are coming towards them. They might not be able to prioritise those projects. They might not be able to balance between work that needs to be spent on business as usual and internal stuff, as well as projects that deliver change or projects that go towards customers. Projects seem to spring into life without authority or continue without sanction or review. They're not clearly integrated or related to each other very effectively. So scrutiny and oversight, for some organisations, we're finding impossible. Moreover, other organisations say our status reporting is unbelievable, but for the wrong reasons, in that they have no visibility of what's going on. They can't easily combine all the work that's happening. Planning that does happen is ineffective, it's localised, it just doesn't seem to work or be able to be integrated very well. They don't have a good feeling of capacity versus demand. Can we do this work? They don't know. They don't have a common and consistent way of understanding progress. Where are we? What have we got left to do? And post-delivery of a project, they're not clear on what the benefits are or what the progress on benefits are. So PPM, EPM, P3M systems help us command and control. And those are the things that we should be looking at today. So how does it fit us as an organisation? Well, there are a number of capabilities it enables us to do. Some of us are interested in portfolio management. Anybody willing to fess up to that today? Portfolio management, anyone? Okay, so some of us are interested in helping a business understand its strategic priorities, to help it turn those priorities into projects and programs, and perhaps to help that organisation deliver benefits, deliver change and benefits at the back end of those. Some of us are interested in taking creative and innovation-led approaches to solving those drivers, to generate ideas and answers that we can turn into projects and programs. And some of us are even interested in rewarding people having good ideas. And most of us, I guess, the majority of us in the room, are interested in how we initiate projects, how we prioritise them and allow them to be started, we deliver them, and we get off and do stuff after that. So PPM Solutions are also about these subjects as well. So who might be the customer for these solutions? Who might be the users? Who might be the consumers of this? Well, I see four kinds of customers that visit me. Firstly, there's the IT customer, the people that want to provide a facility for everyone else to use. They're not interested in change. They've just got a set of requirements. They just want to put something in place and everyone can use it as they like, which is great, absolutely fantastic. That gives us some basic benefits and we have a facility there that we can use how we see fit. But it doesn't necessarily help us with any business change to exploit that too effectively. Another scenario might well be that we have a specific, important, vital project or program that has to be nailed, that has to be done right, that maybe our internal systems as they are just won't support and give enough confidence to the delivery of. So we might set something up and put something corporate in place for that major project or program. And yes, there'll be some benefits. A group of people will learn, but when that program or project disappears, perhaps that disappears too. We maybe have a function-led customer. For example, finance want to understand what we're spending on projects and programs. They don't care about delivery necessarily. They don't care about whether customers happy. They just want to know, are the numbers right? And they may impose upon us a timesheet so that we collect actuals, so we get benefit in that regard, but it may impede our ability to deliver a portfolio and program and project management vision because we're very focused on only one aspect and aren't thinking of a solution holistically. Lastly, there's the enterprise customer, somebody who wants to change the way they manage their portfolio. And those are the people I think would properly benefit and more fully benefit from an enterprise project management solution. The IT guys are providing a facility. That's great to tactically help projects. The program manager will get benefit for their program, fantastic. But will the organization benefit in the long term? Don't know. Will the finance folks get benefit out of the timesheet? Yes, but is that making it difficult for the rest of us? If we have a senior sponsor who can make these changes and help us orchestrate our business, then everyone hopefully should be happy. So clearly, which angle we're coming from in thinking about our EPM or PPM system will dictate how we're going to go about change. So, what are EPM, PPM solutions? I didn't count today, but I think there are many vendors here today who provide EPM, PPM systems. My organisation delivers around the Microsoft project suite of tools, and there are facilities in there to help us track our own personal tasks, to plan individual things, but also to plan our projects and programs. And it's this piece of the puzzle that I'll be talking about next. And I guess there are many of these tools, and they've all got a similar slide to this. The first one I showed, I think, was an old Primavera one, so I'll recover the balance by showing this one. So things like Project Online, Microsoft Project, Project Server in the cloud, enables project management, program management, demand planning. All the facilities are there. And if anybody wants to know more about these kind of things, come to see us on stand 4, if we're not all disappearing to the 4 winds after the gig here. And our solution set, which we brand as Edison 365, slots into this tool set and makes it easy to kick off and gets the technology more right first time. So has anybody here actually implemented a PPM solution, an enterprise one, of any kind? Anybody here already done this? Has anybody here done it well and effectively? Is anybody here that's in an organisation that hasn't done it well and effectively? Okay, then this, maybe I can demonstrate, I can feel your pain. So the next bit here is to, I'm going through this to help people understand what questions they should be asking before they go into this. So what are some of the biggest failings in tool implementation? And I really can speak authoritatively on this because I've seen a lot of these things go wrong. It's not my fault, I hasten to add, but this is from experience, trust me. There's quite a few, so I hope everyone's had some coffee. In sets of 3, questionable requirements. Output focused, not integrated. So the questionable requirements. When we start the journey for our EPM, PPM system, do we really understand what the business wants? Or are we imagining what it might need? Okay, so step 1 is make sure you understand what is needed more than perhaps what some stakeholders think they want. A lot of people are focused on the reports they currently have. What about, and people forget, if they're going to turn that into an enterprise system, what needs to happen to make that slick and sophisticated? It might well be very easy to think, I want that output, but we also need to work out how that's going to get delivered. And without thinking about that, without thinking about how that report's going to get delivered, it can cause us all kinds of problems. Not integrated? Well, how does the information that we're currently reporting actually help our business? I went to see an organisation yesterday, and they showed me their SMT slide pack, and it was enormous, and they never ever got through it, and they had because they were discussing it ad nauseum, they never actually got time to make any decisions, discuss risk, agree changes, or make decisions, whatever. So we need to understand how the information our PPM system is going to contain for us helps our business. About requirements, and if you're coming up with requirements, this is experience I've had. I've seen solutions put together that is basically what someone's had before. They've had a great solution in one company, taken that to the next, doesn't work. I'm going to make this work, and it doesn't. We'll start with something basic, and I'll tweak it. We'll start with something simple. Anyone heard that? Start with something simple means I haven't thought about it. So what do? We meander on a journey, and we get somewhere we didn't really want to go. So start with something simple. Yes, that's fine, but you really need to think about where you're going. Otherwise, we'll meander and perhaps either get nowhere or get to a dead end we can't back out of. What reports can we imagine? well, how good is our imagination? And if we think about it, what does our business really need? Let's start from there. Ask everyone what they want. Sounds brilliant, doesn't it? I'll get everyone's opinion. Well, okay, maybe that will, if you ask everybody, maybe that's going to lead to utter confusion and requirements you can't satisfy. So we've got to think about who we ask and how we gather requirements. A little bit more on the not integrated piece. Many organisations I go to and talk about a tool, I ask them, so can you just sketch up on a piece of paper how your governance framework works? And they go, and it's not uncommon. So for us, if a PPM tool set exists to feed and knit in with the governance framework, if that's not clear, the PPM tool isn't going to be that successful because it's not going to help the senior folks, and they'll get fed up with it, won't see the benefit, and your investment will decay. So if we're clear on maybe 3 or 4 levels of governance framework, so how do we turn strategy into delivery? Do we have a rhythm that addresses what our business plan is, understands what our priorities are, how they're changing, and seed projects out of that? Do we have a level which is about performance review? Can we separate strategy from performance review so that we can kick people around for not being on schedule and keep that separate from the strategic discussions? And do we have a resource management layer where we're looking at what projects and programs we have, we're prioritising how to deploy resource, and we're using our availability and future demand information to help us with strategic choices? If we don't have this kind of framework thought through, how can we derive what information we need? How can we set up a tool set to make it work? And that's a very vital question. So if we want a tool set to contain our plans, easy peasy. If we want a tool set to help us run our business, not so easy. So understanding our governance framework is vital. And for me, a key driver in formulating and defining a tool set has to be, step 1, what is our governance framework? How do we make decisions? How do we control? If we don't know that, find out and come back again when you do. Because until we know what our governance framework is, we don't really know what our information needs are, as to how frequent we have to supply what information to whom. If we don't know what our information needs are, how can we orchestrate process and give people roles to deliver that stuff? If we haven't worked out the roles and the processes, how can we set up a tool to support that? If we haven't set up a tool to do that effectively, how can we deploy that tool convincingly and effectively and sustainably? So if your framework's not clear, we don't know what the information is that we need, we can't define a process and roles effectively, the tool can't get configured right, so we'll fail, is what I'm kind of suggesting to you. So moving on, more tool failings. It's unworkable, the tools aren't supported, and the goals that they have at the start were unachievable. So the unworkable is many organisations try to do too much. They want the whole sweetie shop, and they expect people to just use it. So too much feature never gets adopted. It's a simple saying, but it's true. If it's not supported, usage can decay, compliance can disappear. If you don't plan and organise support and assistance for people adopting and then using the tool, guess what? The tool won't be used. So simple remark, but so many organisations don't do this. Unachievable. The unachievable bit is that, in my view, many organisations overestimate completely their current project management capability and maturity. Okay? I speak to many organisations and they will tell me, oh yes, our people are accredited. We have a very clear process. We have PMOs. We have some very good tools that we use locally, and that's all great. We just need something to make that better. And the reality is that their people aren't accredited. The process is completely different for each part of the business that we find ourselves in. PMOs don't necessarily have good outreach or capacity or capability. And the tool sets, they're not best of breed, and Excel is prevalent everywhere, nests of this stuff. Horrific. When thinking about where we want to go, perhaps where we'd like accredited and capable people, we'd like clear life cycle process and governance to orchestrate how we work. We see that we have to have portfolio program and project management support in place, and we want to use a PPM solution, guess what? The journey from the red thing to the black thing doesn't seem very hard, does it? That's not a big leap. But in actuality, for many organisations, the journey is in fact from the grey bit to the black bit. And trust me, that is a bigger leap which to jump than the first model. So we think A to C sounds easy. It's actually B to C, which is hard. Guess what? We struggle, and it's a problem. So, a better approach. Well, first of all, why don't we start by understanding what kind of customer we are? Am I an IT organisation that's providing a facility? Is my mission to make this program run? Have I got a goal to make timesheets and cost work? Or am I looking to improve the way I manage my portfolio of programs and projects? Whichever customer you are, and whatever context you find yourselves in, we've got to clarify the governance framework. How does my business make decisions? Step one. Because then we can agree the information needs. This is repetition. I'm apologising for repeating, but it's necessary. We need to agree the information needs. Then we can deduce how we're going to work. Then we can set up the tool. And then we can deploy and make business transformation and change. It's simple. But so many people I speak to, they start on this set up the tools and generate reports step, having missed all of the goodies to the left. Anybody recognise that in what they've done so far? Okay. So, change management. That's the thing I do when I've got something ready to deliver, right? Simple answer, no. Waste of a slide, really. So there's two things to differentiate between here. Change management, I've got something that I want to make stick, and business transformation, I want to take this business from here to here, okay? So we've got to worry about both of those things if we're putting a PPM solution in and delivering the wider necessities around it. So if we're looking at, I'll send you the slides, Matt. If we're looking at transformation, if we're looking to take benefits from a PPM solution, we need to be thinking over a reasonably long time. We've got to start thinking early, and we've got a long journey to realise benefits after the solution's in place. Our change management is a part of that. So change management has to start, maybe it doesn't start quite as soon as when the transformation starts, and it probably finishes a little bit before the transformation ends, but transformation involves sustainment and benefit measurement post-change. And the project is the piece that starts eventually when we've worked out what we're doing and delivers an output which we hand to the change people that we can then pull into our transformation plan and deliver benefits. A lot of people I work with, they treat a PPM solution as a project and miss the red bits and don't really get that there's a bigger grey bit. So we really need, if you want to be successful, then we need to think about all these things, not just the tool bit. So if not done effectively, our problems don't get solved, they become bigger problems, we waste our money, everything fails, people move on, sort of misery and crying abound. So I'll kick on from that one. So getting ready for transformation, getting ready to do this, doesn't start at solution delivery. So we have to think about how to do things a little bit earlier than getting the tool out of the box. So there are some very important moments in a transformation that will dictate whether we're successful or not. So firstly, problem identification, stakeholder engagement, option appraisal, some very upfront things. So the success of a PPM solution starts when you have that first idea about it. So can we agree why we're delivering a PPM solution? If you can't, it's going to be difficult to get it adopted because you'll have people pushing back against you. If we don't know who we're delivering this for, how can we ask them whether they like what we're doing or back us in making it work? If we haven't considered options, how can we stand up in front of our directors and say that we're professionals and we considered X, Y, and Z? We need to think, because there are options out there that, in our own experiences, that we may not be aware of. And there's more. Other moments, when we're planning benefits, we have to identify benefits and use benefits as a way to convince people. We need to think about how to make this solution work. We need to make sure that the solution we design is fit for purpose after we've selected it and thought about it. So we have to get buy-in as to the reason why. If we don't get buy-in, the thing will fail. And we can use benefit identification as a way to get people to buy in to what we're up to. Solution strategy planning, if we don't do it, what we suggest may not be realistic in terms of scope, achievement and timing. If we don't evaluate, we don't understand the design, we might not hit the spot and the solution may be wrong, and again, we won't get anywhere. And there's more moments in transformation. We need to think about how we're going to talk to people, how we're going to make that change, and how we're going to deliver benefits. Because if we've stood up and made a case that expects benefits, we better well deliver them. So we have to communicate so we don't scare the horses. We have to get messages to people that enable them to understand what it is that's happening, why it's happening, how it's going to affect them, how everything's going to be lovely and there'll be flowers growing out of their computer and everything. We can't scare the horses, we have to get that right. Saying you're going to use this tool next week is not a way to get benefit. Transformation planning. I know what, we'll turn this on and we'll have you put all of your plans in there next week. Computer says no, it doesn't work. We have to think about how to make this happen successfully so that people don't struggle and we don't fail. Benefit realization. Assuming that we're chopping this elephant up into pieces that we're feeding to our organization, we are accepting that we're doing phase one in such a transformation. So if we cock up phase one, there won't be a phase two. So we have to show benefits and achievement after we've delivered the first piece. And the last slide on the bullet points is during our initial introduction, we need to learn how to make the transformation work, not just deal with the fettling and issues that pop out of using a system, but we need to learn how to make business change and make it stick. And we have to make sure the investment is worth it. So these are all important moments in a transformation that we have to get right for an enterprise project management solution to be born, delivered, and made use of. So, how do we go about this? What's our method of approach? Step one. Has anybody here travelled by train to get here today? Okay. Yeah. So when you went to buy your ticket, you didn't just say, I want to get to, where are we today? Is it Arsenal? Which station is it closest? Whatever station that, did you buy, you knew which station you were travelling from when you bought that ticket, didn't you? Okay. So why do many of us, when we implement PPM solutions, not have a good understanding of where we're starting from before we buy the ticket? So step one, current state assessment. What have you got that's good? What have you got that's bad? Where are you? What are the problems? Who's got the pain? If we don't do that assessment, how do you know you're buying the right ticket? So step one, current state assessment. That will give us the ability then, perhaps, to come up with an initial roadmap which says, these are the big ticket items we think are wrong and we think we need to solve. And for some people, they decide to look at putting a tool in place and use it very simply. To have a simple tool just to start collecting core data. Not do anything clever with it, just get people into the habit of doing basic planning perhaps and using a tool. So after our current state assessment and gaining consensus as to where we are and what our big ticket problems are, maybe then we start getting agreement on the basics of tool usage. And perhaps we run a pilot with some tooling to enable us to get some experience of basic tool use and start getting capability together and data together. But in parallel with that, we work on the vision and strategy. Looking at all our problems, what does the end game look like? What do we think we need to have for this business to work effectively? And how do we chop that up into pieces that I can afford and that I can deliver and that I can sustain? Because if I bite off too much, I won't be able to afford it, I won't be able to deliver it, and I won't be able to sustain it. So let's be sensible about what we do. And then, after a period of basic usage of some tools to get our basic capability in place, let's review where we want to go. Let's take the learning from our PPM tool experience and then think about what our roadmap is. and be holistic about that, so that if any further change is necessary, we can look at what we need for portfolio, program and project management tools. We can look at what we have to do for people and process, and we can understand what governance and project support arrangements need to be going forwards. Is this just too obvious to be true? Or So, successful business change. What does that mean? Well, I guess many of us believe that we understand change and how to persuade people to do stuff. But for me, change is a real profession that some people take on. And we have to take people from where they are in terms of their current state. We possibly have to take them through a transition, which they'll find difficult. And we have to take them to a future state. And we can do that for an organisation, but it only happens if all the little components, as in us, we, are brought into that transformation and that journey. So, with effective change management, we can pull people together. Each of the members of our organisation can be brought in to why we're going to do change. It can be brought in to what we're going to have to go through to transition. And it can then attain the future state and be happy. If we manage change effectively, this can be a faster, smoother ride than if we don't manage change effectively, where we don't get buy-in to the current state, we don't properly address people's needs, the transition takes longer and is more painful and is more expensive and doesn't deliver so much transformation, so that we've had a slower ride, a rougher ride, to less benefit. So effective and professional change management is vital here. Okay? Does anybody here have any change management credentials? I'm not trying to pick on anyone as to whether they should or shouldn't, but many people I speak to about PPM Solutions don't have those credentials, yet they want to take on change and think they can be effective without credentials. Anybody here a portfolio and project management practitioner without any credentials? I think everyone's probably got some qualifications. Well, change is something you need qualification in too. And some of you may be aware of ProSci, where in considering change, we make sure people are aware, we encourage and promote desire in people, the will to change. We help them understand how we're going to change, enable them with training and mentoring to change, and reinforce and assist so that change sticks. If we miss out the change piece, we won't get, when we compress the spring, when we release our hands, the spring will spring back. So let's change and make that work. So if we are effective in the change, then we have to sustain. Okay, so now we've got something changed. We can't just take the foot off the gas. We have to make sure that the change sticks, otherwise we waste the money. We have to make sure that the change is integrated in our business. It's not something superficial that's seen as this project or that project that'll go away when the project manager gets moved on to something else. We need to have support infrastructure, that the thing we build is built such that it can stay alive and get better and fix itself and go further. We need to manage effective change, just as Nauseam explained, and we mustn't be complacent in this. So we need to make sure that we make ready. And there are many components to this, and again, apologies for not distributing binoculars, but for me, if we're making ready for change, we need to clearly understand what our customer environment is. We have to understand what the solution is. We need to understand how the process of supporting and looking after a solution is going to work. We need to differentiate then between fixes, changes, assistance, that sort of thing. All that stuff needs to be ready so that we can sustain the solution. The trouble is, if I was to consider a typical life cycle for a PPM solution implementation, understanding and envisioning, designing something, building something, launching it, I guess we really need to have the method of how we're going to support and look after this solution in place before we completely finish launching. But many customers I work with find that, we forgot about the service readiness, and we're close up to the thing going live, and we've got to start thinking about how to support things. Sustainment, the thinking for it needs to start when you imagine the solution. So what are our requirements going to be? When we're designing the system, we've got to design how we're going to keep it alive. When we're building a system, we've got to make ready with our service components. We have to provide early life support so that our people that are going to look after the solution long term can get ready and be equipped to take on BAU support once we're ready. So it's very important that, yes, we'll look at requirements, we'll deliver a wonderful solution, we'll take people through a change journey, but if we don't have the sustainment ready and able to look after the solution, it'll drop off and decay. So, to recap then, Enterprise Project Management Solutions, install, train, job done, right? No, not really. Ideally, we need to understand who the customer is that we're working with for these solutions. Are they an IT customer that's just got to tick a box? He says that's not completely fair, but I've got an IT organisation that's just wants a facility. Have I got a program that needs special help? Have I got a line management need, a functional need, like for timesheeting? Or does my organisation really want to up its game? So once I know that, where am I buying my ticket to take the journey? What does good look like? And what's the first step I need to take to get there? Because then we can think about what our governance framework is and what information we need to make that happen. We can think about how to make the business work to deliver that and be successful. We can pull off the tool implication and then deliver it effectively and make sure we deliver business change and sustainment. And hopefully then we'll have considered all of the pillars to our enterprise project management solution, including the technology one. We'll recognise that we have transformation to worry about, a part of which is change, a part of which is delivery, and hopefully we'll have something, a good investment that continues to deliver benefits for many years. And there, ladies and gentlemen, I rest the case for the defence. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, there is a person here with a Shirley Bassey microphone. It's not karaoke. Please do ask the young lady to give you the microphone before we speak. And if you could rate my comedy on an evaluation sheet from Sorica, who's going to stand up and say, hello, everyone. Please give us some feedback. The only way I can get better and get rid of the comedy is if you guys tell me. Okay. Any questions, anyone?
Yes, a question for you is how, in your experience with what you do, how frequently do you find that enterprises perhaps have all the tool sets that they need or all the tools that they need, but it's perhaps the integration of those and the networking of those. They're more in the technical project output space with the tools, existing tools that they have, and really they just need help, cementing how they use their existing tools in a more transformative, cohesive way. And is that a delivery that you typically offer as
yes,
well?
Absolutely. We find an IT function that wants to provide a facility. We find a CXO that wants complete transformation. And somebody I've met years ago, I was chatting just about this very question earlier on. We find organisations that have a very sophisticated ecosystem, but their IT is just isn't very good. And they want to plug something in that makes the job of what you do that much easier. So absolutely, for me, that's a very, very sound customer, because you're a customer that knows what they want and has maturity and all the stuff around the technology already sussed, so we can give you benefits really quick.
Right. Well, and if you have pre-established, long-established rigidity in your governance, right, that you're not going to change,
yeah.
And then you may have to do it in other ways.
Yeah. We just have to feed the framework. If it's mature, if it's good, we feed it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I think then that just leaves me to say thank you once again. Thanks for coming. If you're a bit shy and don't want the mic and want to talk, I'm around because I think the bar's opening soon, maybe. So if anyone else wants to stay, thank you for attending again, and see you next year.